Welcome to Power Pivot series. Let's quickly recap what we discussed in Power Query because Power Query is like first step to do all the massaging of the data, transforming it, and then we can create actual data which we can use for a modeling purpose. Once that data is done, then we load it to our data model. However, in Power Pivot, we can do a bit different stuff as well. So in Power Query, we have seen that most of the tables which we linked, it's that, or rather, which all we imported was some kind of linkage were established. However, it's that you have to go and refresh once you make any changes to the raw file, correct? But in Power Pivot, that's not the case. In Power Pivot, it gives you an option that you can create a linked table, and as soon as you update that linked table, automatically it gets refreshed in Power Pivot. So it actually useful when you try to load when you are using some critical data and you just to avoid some mistake. We human being tends to create some mistake or tends to forget that okay, I have created a new data and I should be refreshing the pivot or Power Pivot data model, correct? Sometimes it happens. Just to avoid that, this particular linkage field or linkage feature is added to Power Pivot. So whichever table which is like really crucial and which are present in Excel, physical Excel table as such, you can use that as linkage table in Power Pivot. So let's see what exactly we are trying to say. Oh, before that, once we directly moved into the Power Pivot interface and the window, so if you are not able to see the Power Pivot option here, go to File, okay, then go to Options, go to Add-ins, correct? Now, Power Pivot is actually a COM add-in. Go and click Go. So as of now, I have selected Power Pivot for Excel 2013. If you are using Excel 2010, it would be simple Power Pivot. Okay, so if it's unchecked, checked it. So right now it's checked because here I could see that option here in the menu bar. So it's fine. Otherwise, just you have to navigate to that, enable that add-in, and it will automatically show up that this particular tab. Okay, so once you're here, just click on this. This is something which would be like day in and day out. We would be using this window. So if I click on this, it will open the Power Pivot data model window. So this window is something where you will see all the data models or the data tables what are present. You can view it either in a data view or Excel table view, or if you want to see the relationship, you can just click on this and you can see the diagram view where it will have all the tables along with the connections or the linkage among the fields. So that will cover up in some time. So let's see how we can use that linkage table. That's one thing which is like very important feature. So let's start first on that, then we'll move into the data import part. And there's one more cool feature, this Excel. So if you click on this, it will move to that Excel. That's a quick shortcut kind of stuff to let you know. Okay, so this is an Excel table which we would be using. So I'm just deleting this row right now because this is not required. That's something which we would be creating. Okay, so these are my sales rep with sales rep ID. Okay, this is again a dummy table just for understanding. So once we have this, go to Power Pivot and add to data model. Okay, so once you add to data model, you could see that it's present as sales rep dimension table and there is a linkage shown here. So now if we come here and make some changes, for example 20 John Smith, okay, and if I press enter here and I'm not selecting or pressing up this update button, if you come here you will see that's automatically get updated to 21st John Smith, correct? So this is a very cool feature and this is quite handy if you try to avoid that mistake that you forget some tables, you have important data you have updated, but you forgot to refresh the tables. Just to avoid that situation, you can use this kind of feature which would just eliminate that error. Okay, so this is something which would be a cool thing. So now let's see how we can import other stuff. So right now we have imported the sales rep data. Now let's import from other files from other source. Okay, so if I click on other source, I want to import from Excel. I will navigate it. Okay, okay, so pivot I just used. So this is my working file which I've already imported. Find all files. I want to import the region because it's again Excel as well as CSV, so that doesn't matter much. But it will, if you try to do that in Power Pivot, it might give you an error syntax stating that failed to connect to the server. Reason external data is not the expected format. Correct. So that's something which you can encounter. So in some of the cases, as in Power BI, if you load, then it helps, or rather it doesn't throw any error. But here it's we are getting an error. So right now I will close it and I will again select this time the text file. Come here, browse, Power Pivot. Again, there is no text file, or rather CSV file we have. So region, open. Now let's see whether it's taking it. Yes, it's taking it. So we have region and region ID and region name or region. Yes, a region. So once we click on finish, say it will import and say that 5 rows are imported. So done. So right now you could see that this is not a linked one. So if you make any changes to that CSV, you have to come here and you have to do a refresh or refresh all. Then only the changes would reflect here. Okay. So now let's try to enter data from access. Yes. So access again in I have a product detail in that access. I will click on next. I'll select the list. Simple. I will select the product. Only one file or one table is present. So finish. Again 10 rows updated. Close. So this is my product table. Okay. Now let's load our transaction table which is present in SQL Server. So if you have any server name, for example, you're working on Office system and there is a server which you are assigned to work on and the database is located in that server. So put that server name here. Right now, just for our training purpose, I have imported a dummy data in my dummy SQL Server database, which is located in my local system. To refer to that local, you have to just press a dot. It will tell you that it's a local host. It's nothing hosted in any other different server. It's a local in my system. So once you come here, select on the one I have created a test. Okay, so whichever server you or database you are using, click on next. Again, select from the list of the tables. Before that, there is a write a query that will specify the data to import. You can even write a query stating that right now if we are importing only a single table, which will not give any sense, but if there are multiple tables and you want to import all table at a go, you can just create a query with all the joins and everything mentioned in a proper way. So it will import all such tables in a single table. Okay, so that if you require, I can create a video as well on that. So anyway, Miss, we'll select from the tables which are present. Right now in that we have several tables, but I need only the transaction table. Okay, and finish. It will take some time because certain data is quite high. It's close to zero point 0.5 million. So I will just close. Okay, right. So here you could see there is a fact table, there is a product dimension table, region table dimension, and sales rep as a dimension. So from a database architecture perspective, fact table is always the important table centered in the middle, and all the dimension tables just decorates itself throughout several other places, and it get linked with a particular ID, whether it's a foreign ID or primary ID. That's something which we can discuss in detail later, but it's actually that way. So that's why I just transaction table, I just mentioned that as a fact table, and product table, region table, and sales tables would be my dimension tables. Okay, so with this, let's close this video, and in our next video, we would see how we can create a linkage between all these tables, and then how we try to interact among all the tables which are present in my data model in Power Pivot. Thank you.